activity that we're going to do deals with the idea of power and power in relationships. And we're going to use a couple of different strategies here. The first one is called a values line. So you're making a value judgment actually about power. So what I'm going to have you do is come up to the front here in a second, and we're going to pretend that there's a continuum along the board here. So at this end of the line, we're going to think that you're going to come and stand down here if you believe that power is a bad thing. If you think that power is a good thing, you're going to be on this end of the continuum. But keep in mind it's a continuum, so you can be anywhere along that line depending on what you think with respect to power. So power is bad, power is good. I want you to not worry about what friends are thinking, what other people in the room are thinking. You're just thinking for yourself of where you stand on that line. And when you come up here, you're going to make sure your back is towards the blackboard. You're facing this way and shoulder to shoulder. So we can't have people standing in front of each other. We need one line. Okay, so come on up and stand. Power is bad, power is good. And just let everybody fit onto the line. Oh, we've got lots of people who think it's bad. Okay, and let's kind of shift down a little, even though I know you don't want to be right at the end, but just to fit everybody in. I know you don't want to be stuck down there. Okay, so this is what we call a values line, right? You're asking students to make a judgment based on their values, in this case of what they think around power. So now we're going to take the next step, which is called fold the line. So I'm going to ask Tony to come this way, and Jeff, you're going to follow. And you're just going to pair up with the person in front of you. Give them a high five so that you know who your partner is. Great, great, excellent. Okay, so now we've got our two lines. We folded the line. The line here with your back against the blackboard, you're going to be line A. This group, you're going to be called line B. Okay, and I'm going to have you actually number off starting at the end just for line A people. Great, 6. And just so you know, if you did have an odd number of students, because that happens lots of times, you're going to keep the odd numbered student here. So that person would also be a number 6, and you would work together, okay, as a group of 3 here. So now that I've folded the line, think about it. We had power is bad, right? Tony, you were down there, and Jeff. And then power is good was over here. So now what do we have going on at this end of the line in terms of what people think about power? What's the concern? Extremes, right? We've got the two extremes there, and here maybe your ideas are similar. I mean, they could be similar down there. It depends what you were thinking when you stood where you stood. But just to keep in mind when you're teaching this strategy, you do have to be careful, because sometimes you bring up something where the students have a really, like it's a really contentious issue, and so down at that end you've really got opposing views. So your description of what to do here, your instructions are very, very important that they're clear, okay? So in this case, I would say to the students, all right, so now we folded the line, and I want to give you an opportunity to tell your partner why you stood on the line. But what's important is, because there could be very opposing views anywhere along here really, but especially on the far end, is that we're going to use our active listening skills that we've practiced in class before, so that when you're listening, you're just listening to what your partner is saying. You're not interrupting them. You're just hearing them out as to what they say, because you're going to get an opportunity to give your input as well. But it's not a conversation. It's just saying why you stood where you stood on the line. Okay, so I'm going to have line A people. You're going to speak first to your partner. Tell them why you stood where you stood. When you're finished, give them the go-ahead that they can then tell you. Okay, go ahead. Okay, and stop. And again, I'm interrupting you a little bit early just to show you the strategy. Of course, with the students, you would let them go and make sure that everybody has had the opportunity to speak. And then at this point, I would ask, would anybody like to share? They should feel safe because they've had the opportunity to speak with a partner. And lots of times the kids' hands will go up. But what I have in my back pocket, remember, is that we have numbered off this line. So I could say, okay, number 4s, where are my number 4s? You would raise your hand, number 4s. Yep. They're like, where are the number 4s? Oh, yeah. Okay, so then I would say, what did you speak about to each other? And you would just tell us about your conversation, okay? So then in this activity, it goes through some different questions around power. That's the first question. But then I would have the A's stay where you are. And just to show the movement here, just so you get it in your head what it looks like, I'm going to have this line, the B's, you're going to move 2 places to your right. So you're going to go down that way, 2 people to your right, and down that way, yep, and down here. Give your partner a high five, say hello, introduce yourself. Okay, and then we would continue on with the next question. So the next question is something like, you know, how do people get power? Where does that come from? And we would go through the same process. Okay, any questions about fold the line or values line? We're good? Okay, great, thank you. Have a seat.